Hey there, YouTubers, viewers, subscribers, and non-subscribers. RoseRed17 here, and welcome to my channel. This is a review video of Eden Zero, Volume 25, Chapters 213 to 221. So as some of us have guessed that Elsie is the true villain this whole time, but it turns out that she's not, and the proof is here. She transferred the rights from her mother to herself and commanded the Mobus to deactivate the dragons, and told James that she doesn't want to fight anymore. So yeah, Elsie isn't the culprit, because she wouldn't have destroyed the dragons if she was. Remember, whoever is controlling Zeke wants to kill off humanity, while Hermit is reviewing the video of Zeke talking to Elsie as a young child. She started to get the idea of the identity of the true villain. While Zeke is begging Shiki to put him out of his misery, he loses control of himself and puts Pino in a black spear where she can't get herself out. Shiki tries to help her out, but it's no use as Pino disappeared right in front of him, which causes Shiki to go into a rampage and attacks Zeke with a more upgraded version of his overdrive. The fight starts, and after punches and blows and explosion, we get to see a back and forth recap of the past and present. Shiki knows the way Zeke is fighting him is the same way that he was training him as a child. Shiki was onto him and realized that the Zeke that he knew was still there, and lied about being possessed, allowing Shiki to finish him off for good this time. Then Pino comes back as Shiki says his final goodbyes to his grandpa. And there is one more thing I forgot to mention. I thought the creator was actually going to kill off Pino. I didn't believe it was going to be one of those fake out death scenes like he did with Hamura. I thought Pino was going to die for the same reason as Witch and Valkyrie, but nope, it turns out to be a fluke. Zeke set it up to make Shiki angry enough to fight him, and it worked. After Shiki and Pino have their little chat, it cuts to Sister and Hermit looking depressed, as they saw the battle between Shiki and Zeke and heard everything that went down. But then the danger alarms goes off, and Hermit demands Connor to get everybody back on the ship ready to depart. Back with Rebecca and Weiss, they notice a small little spacecraft coming towards them and realize it's from the unit army. But Eraser shows up with Hamura in his arms, telling the two that he's not here to fight, and also told them about the coronavirus coming their way. Hermit made contact with them about the coronavirus, and then Shiki shows up out of nowhere to also warn them. Oh yeah, Shiki has the power wormhole that he gained after defeating Zeke. Anyway, he used his power to transport his crew back into the Eden Zero ship. While departing, Hermit had a talk with Shiki about the true enemy after reviewing the video of young Elsie and what Zeke said to her, saying that he couldn't keep the big ship there because it was a theme park, but he didn't say when he built it, which is something I will learn later on because we are about to witness the true enemy that you have all been waiting for. Coming out from the ground is the one and only Eden's One. Yeah, nobody expected that the Eden's One was the one that was brainwashing Zeke this whole time, and I was thinking it was just another human being, but nope, it's the Eden's One, and it started to attack the Eden Zero. The ship took heavy damages as they tried to get away. Meanwhile, back on the planet, Elsie and Justice are having a chat about what happened to her mother and how and why she did what she did. She wasn't really a caring mother and just somebody who's just hungry for power, and Elsie knows this. The whole reason Elsie betrayed her people was because her own parents were a threat to the cosmos. After hearing all this, Justice, or should I say James, realized his own flaws towards Elsie and all those pin-up angers towards her, and decided he's no longer going to hunt her down. Meanwhile, back with the Eden Zero's crew, as they're still dealing with the Eden's One, the coronavirus start to eat the time of the planet as Elsie and James revert back to their own time as children 260 years in the past, according to Xiao Mei. Now on to the next chapter. Xiao Mei recaps what happened in the previous chapter, and then does a small introduction within this chapter. Holy decided to go back to the OSI after achieving her goal, and also wanted to arrest Shiki and seduce him? Okay. Once again, Xiao Mei explains the situation, and then it cuts to Connor telling Rebecca that he is her dad. And Rebecca's reaction is the same reaction as every viewer who learned about this. I didn't like the idea of Connor being Rebecca's father because in the beach chapter, we saw him checking her out. I'm still a little creeped out by this, but you never know, he could be a decent father. Anyway, Rebecca is having a hard time believing him. Of course, he could have told her earlier, but even he didn't know about it, and that Noah was the one who told him. The two started to have a bonding conversation by stuffing their face with food, like father like daughter. Anyways, Rebecca scolded him for abandoning her, but it was actually her mother who abandoned both of them. Then, later on, Rebecca has a conversation with the girls in the bathhouse and doesn't know what to think of all this. While the girls are happy for her that she got to meet her father and finding her mother, but she's not too happy about it, as she has thoughts about them leaving her behind. But then Lobelia mentioned a video she created a long time ago about them cosplaying as Happy, which I did get a laugh from, not gonna lie, and we actually see Connor do it. So yeah, he's trying to be a good father. Anyway, skip to Shiki having contact with one of Elsie's crewmates about her whereabouts. Shiki has an idea of Elsie's whereabouts, but chose not to say anything without explaining it to them. Then we see Clown in custody. Yeah, they didn't forget about him, and neither did I. After questioning Clown about who built the Eden's Wand and that the orders came from the ship itself and it was built by Ziki. Then we see a flashback image of Sister laying in a hospital bed, as it turns out that Clown was her doctor. So we finally get the connection between the two, and it turns out that Sister Ivory had an illness and that Clown was the doctor that wanted to help her. Speaking of Sister Ivory, she calls out to everyone, especially Rebecca and Connor, about an awakened Rachel. Now in the next chapter, we get to witness of what Rebecca's mother, Rachel, is like, and I see this. Yeah, none of us expected that, did we? But, on the other hand, we now know where Rebecca got her attitude and catchphrase from. Also, her powers as well. Rachel explains the situation about why she had to leave Rebecca behind. She did it to protect her, as it turns out that every woman in her family has the power to control time. So this truly confirms that Rebecca got her cat leaper powers from her mother, as it passed down from generation to generation. Even Rachel said that the reason that she left was because of her mother, who was the real Saint Fire of the OSG. Rachel came from the Yukino Cosmos, where she lived within the Church of Saint Fire, and ran away from home because she didn't like her family or the duty that was placed upon her. She met Connor, ends up marrying him, and having Rebecca later on. But Connor is still unsure as to why she left him while taking Rebecca with her. And the answer is that the Church of Saint Fire found Rachel and then killed Connor. Rachel used her cat leaper powers thousands of times until she was in a world where Connor wasn't dead. Then, after she voluntarily went back to the church without saying anything to Connor, she was under house arrest, and the people there started to turn on Rebecca at the age of 4 because they will not accept a girl with an unknown pedigree. Really? These people would kill a 4-year-old child because she is some kind of animal in their eyes? I feel really sorry for Rachel. This woman saw her daughter and husband die multiple times due to her crazy, cold-hearted members of her family. She continued to travel back in time until she found the world where they're both alive. However, she comes to the point where she can no longer use her ability, and that is when she abandoned Rebecca for her own safety. That is the origin story of where Rebecca came from and how or where she got her powers from. And not to mention, she reunited with her long-lost parents. Now, let's see what happens next. So after reuniting with her parents, Rebecca is happy, but at the same time she feels guilty since she's literally the only other person whose parents are still alive. But the others don't seem to mind, and looking at Shiki over there, he is just happy. We see the two lovebirds wanting to get acquainted with their daughter, and also wanting to get acquainted with themselves after so long of being apart, and decide to do a little smooching together. Right in front of their daughter. After Rebecca told him to stop acting like that, Rachel has decided she wanted to go back home. She doesn't really explain why, but what she does explain is that her family's worship towards Mother and has a lot of faith in her. Rachel also said that Mother is dying, causing the end of the world. She doesn't really know why, but without Mother, the human race will die out. So here in this chapter, we're getting a little bit more information about Mother. Not only that she's the source of all ether gear powers, but she's also the first of all human races. Rachel, who is in traveling through time to get through other worlds, learned Mother died in each universe, except for Universe Zero, where she wants her daughter and all of her friends to go to next in order to find Mother and save the world. Yep, another save the world cliche, but this one's a little different than all the other cliches, and that is everything is tied to one powerful individual. No demon summoning from the underworld, no man-made machine that you'll have to use human beings as a sacrifice, and no crazy nutjob who is thirsting for power. This seems almost natural, like the scientific fact about the stars blowing up after reaching a certain captivity. Maybe that's what's happening to Mother. Who knows at this point, but I bet we will find out soon after reaching more chapters. Now, it's the chapter where we get to see what is behind the door 3173, which is the Etherion. Rachel explains what's going to happen once they reach Universe Zero, and that everybody's memories will be rewritten, but they will all still see each other one way or another. Now, with the explanation out of the way, let us get to the part where they open the door to 3173 and witness the Etherion, which is Rebecca's B-Cuber seal within a giant crystal. I bet some of you were expecting her body, but no. Remember a few chapters back, it was explained that her cat leaper powers were extracted from her body. Now here, we see that power is stored away within her B-Cuber, which is an item that she's very fond with. Oh yeah, there is one more thing I forgot to mention. How do they open the door if they don't have Witch and Valkyrie? Well, we do know that Hamura took place of Valkyrie, and as for Witch, they have Pino, which is something I cannot explain that you'll have to figure out on your own. Anyways, back to what I was saying, they see the B-Cuber that belongs to Rebecca from the future, and then suddenly, the ship activated the time jump on its own. Sister and Hermit try to stop it, but with no luck. But Shiki says it's okay and that they will meet again as the ship traveled into the space of time. Then, we see the version of young Shiki looking up at the stars just like the beginning of the first chapter. So, it looks like they traveled back in time, but did they travel to Universe Zero? Let us find out. The next chapter happens to be a recap of the first chapter, but through different perspectives. Like we see Shiki fixing one of the robots, and Rebecca's ship seems to be pulling itself towards the planet Granbell. Shiki starts to fix up the giant cat robot when his ether gear started to go out of control, and then crashed the cat robot right in front of Rebecca and Happy, and getting a recap of these moments. Yeah, I don't think that's going to change. And right before Shiki asks Rebecca to be his friend, the memories from their future selves started to flow back into both of them, and the two are reunited once again. I will admit, I was a bit skeptical. I thought this was going to be another recap, but it turned out to be a reunion chapter for our two main duos, which leaves the end of the volume. And the next volume is pretty interesting to say the least. Yes, I have already read the recent chapters of volume 26, and I am seeing things that I did not expect to see. And the best part is that not everything are recaps for the recycled plots. Sure, there are some things that are noticeable, and some familiar faces that you will witness in my next video. Well then everyone, thank you so much for watching, and if you are new here, you can subscribe to this channel, and you can also hit that notification button for more updates on my newest videos. And don't forget, you can check me out on Twitter, TikTok, and Discord. And I'll see you all in the next video. RoseRed17 out.